into Democrats in 2024. And if you're wondering, Choice Hotels owns Quality Inn, Sleep Inn, Econo Lodge, and Roadway Inn. Wyndham Hotels. Now, Wyndham Hotels owns Super 8, Days Inn, Aquanita, Ramada, and more. Marriott. Marriott donated $228,000 to Democrats in 2024, and Hilton Hotels donated $241,000 to Democrats in 2024. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. As I said at the beginning of the hour that we would have, a busy show this morning. Our good friend John Parker from KTNF, AM 950, is with us from Minneapolis. John, good morning and welcome to the show. How are you doing, my friend? Yeah, I know. Bad question to ask. I know that. I ask it genuinely speaking. I hope you are hanging in there. I cannot believe, John, this is the second time this year you and I have had a conversation at the last minute after a shooting that took place over a particular weekend. It's a damn shame. It's just a damn shame.
I know I'm supposed to be a reporter, but when I have to think back on this, it's the words I want to use right now, Richard, I'm not allowed to use on air. So
hey, yeah. Believe me, when you say that, most of the weekend, I fought back a couple of different emotions. One of them were tears for the family. And when I read the post from his mother and father, I mean, that just shook me. Mm-hmm. The other side of that, though, is the Black Panther in me that wants to go and scrape the eyes out of every ICE agent that's there in Minneapolis causing this havoc, and want to see our party, our energy, do what we have to do these next 10 months. And that's work really, really hard to galvanize every person that's on the left, in the middle, and those on the right that decided to slip up and vote the way that they did, and say, listen, whether this is what you voted for or not, it doesn't matter. What's happening right now is insanity, and it has to stop. So I have to spend my energy, galvanizing everybody together like you to make sure that we get to the midterms and we get the House back so that we can then actually have a tool to go after this administration. And I mean the entire administration, not just Donald Trump.
So I don't know how many videos you've seen or how many your listeners have seen. There is one where an agent is seen clapping and then says boo-hoo to people, observers, right, who are screaming at him. So I'm not even concerned about the next 10 months. I am concerned about the next 7 days. The feeling here on the ground is that the Democratic Party needs to shut down the government until this lawless agency, again, I can't use the words that I want to use, is not just pulled out of Minnesota, but their tactics ended immediately. When we see that their training, the new agents' training, has been cut down from 5 months to 47 days, what a symbolic number to tell agents that you work for directly the President of the United States, not the Constitution, not the laws, but the President, because we're giving you 47 days of training symbolically for you to know that. That means that they are saying you are a private army of President Trump. Yeah. And they have given them, and they've been very, very clear from the get-go that they're going to do whatever they want here. And they're being given, our local police chiefs, one of them, Brooklyn Park Police Chief Bruley, Mark Bruley, saying, well, I know the older guys, the long-term folks, they're very concerned about this, and they're reaching out to me. It's the new guys that are the problem. And I'm like, if it were just the new guys, then we would see Kristi Noem, we would see Border Patrol Chief Bovino, we would see all of them saying, guys, knock it off, cool it, stop it, do your training, wear the body cams that we have thousands of, thanks to Democrats last summer. But they're not doing that. They are being told, go ahead, keep doing it.
Yeah.
And that's where now we have the over the night, let me make sure I have the name correctly here, the Border Patrol, not the Border Patrol, the Police Chiefs Association is asking for a meeting. The Minnesota Chiefs of Police Association is requesting a meeting with Trump. That's about 700 current and retired Minnesota law enforcement officers. I mean, think about how crazy that is, that the police chiefs have had enough with the Trump administration, considering their voting records. Police union, law enforcement union, also asking for a meeting. We've got 4 lawsuits, 3 of which are going to be heard today in court against the administration. We have so much documented evidence from what they did in Chicago, Richard. Bovino. After they were shooting people in Chicago and he was tackling people. I mean, this guy is cosplaying a Nazi soldier. You know, we have so much video of him here in the Twin Cities just throwing green gas, you know, walking around in the Target building, wanting to be Mr. Immigration Tough Guy. You know, we've got a deposition of him talking about him tackling a guy in Chicago. And the interrogator is showing him a video of him tackling a guy and saying, this is you tackling this guy. And Bovino's like, no. And the guy's like, you tackled this guy. We're looking at it. And Bovino's like, no. So they have a record of telling people under oath, no, don't believe what you're seeing. And the judge was like, you are a liar. Yeah. And what DHS is saying are liars. So we have the court system who is recognizing that these people are lying to us, and they are having to drop cases against people because they know, we don't actually have a case here. We're suing you, but we don't actually have a case here. So we're just going to, we're going to drop it. It's all political theater. It's all propaganda. The cruelty is the point of this. And Minnesota has had it to have tens of thousands of people in sub-zero temperatures. And I know you all in Chicago know what these temperatures are. You all have been out in them too. And so the situation is completely untenable. And to see now Republicans, we have had at least one now, state Republican overnight, say this is over. This needs to stop. And when we see the governor of Oklahoma, Richard, Oklahoma, on the Sunday morning talk shows going, what is the point of this again? Maybe we should send ICE to places that they actually will be effective in.
Yeah, well, the numbers, Florida has the X amount of population and certain number of quote-unquote people that need to be handled. And Texas is the same way. So, John, listen, I didn't want to interrupt you because I know that part of this process, and this is why I ask everybody to stay connected with folks, is the need to get it out of our systems because that's more constructive. 3 times you said the words I want to say that I can't say on the air. That tells us how how angry and PO'd we are right now. And so like you and like me and so many others that are fortunate and blessed to have a voice like this, we have to keep speaking this truth to this power, if we want to call it that. And we have to pay attention to those subtleties. Like you talked about the cases. Those cases have to be, we have to speak to the reality that those cases are in court and that evidence is there because we know that they're lying. We know that they're full of that stuff. And to the people who are waking up, if you want to say it this way, the GOP that are, quote, waking up, that's where the solution for this right now is going to come. And I appreciate you kind of winding us back from the midterms. The GOP on a federal level and on state levels have to be willing to step up. The GOP elected leaders have to be willing to step up and say, this is enough, because that's a power that they have that they're not using. Can we count on the Republicans in the House of Representatives to do their job? I don't know if we can. I don't think we can. It's not showing itself that we can. But this is the push that's got to come. We've got to push them. We got to push the state GOP to get involved, and we've got to push governors in other states to get involved, because who knows when they're going to show up in the next state. I want to but just ask you a question about this. This voter information request that came out. Yeah, you talk about it because I'm afraid I'm going to say some bad words on that one. But talk about this vote for those who don't know. John's going to drop one on you about what Pam Bondi requested yesterday, or was it on Saturday? But whatever, over the weekend.
It was Saturday morning, and I think for me, the news here, I mean, the request that she made, which is basically, if you want, this was to the governor, if you want ICE out, then here are our demands. One of them was for all the voter rolls in Minnesota. They also wanted to have all of our welfare, so our Medicaid and Medicare data as well. And there was a third thing, and I apologize here, I'm looking it up. The state records on Medicaid and Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and the voter rolls. I'm sorry, I can't find it here on my notes. So the governor immediately said no. The Secretary of State, Simon, he said, the governor can't even give this information to you, even if you wanted to. That's got to come out of my office, and I'm not doing that at all. He was very forceful in the statement that he released. And I think the news there, beyond that they're crazy, because they're crazy, and nothing but crazy is going to come out of these people's mouths, is the fact that less than 24 hours after they screwed up, they know how bad they screwed up, and they're trying to find a way out. That, to me, was because she wasn't going to do that on Saturday morning before they murdered a person, and it was caught by 7 different videos. She wasn't going to do that on Friday morning when knowing that we were going to have tens of thousands of people in downtown Minneapolis in sub-zero temperatures. She did it yesterday morning. So to me, that says, when I see her saying that, when I see the governor of Oklahoma saying, hey, is this, maybe we need to go to a city with Republican leadership, and that's where we need to be focusing right now, that tells me that they're trying to find a way out that saves face. But yeah, her request was absolutely.
The thing is, here's a challenge, not the challenge, but here's kind of how what the wording is. But this is the problem with that, is that they know that Minneapolis is not going to give up that information. Minnesota's not going to give up that information. So then that gives them a position to lean back into, which is we made a request. They decided they weren't going to provide us with it, so we're going to stay. That's how they're going to play this out, because they know it's an unreasonable request. And Keith Ellison, as the Attorney General, recognizes that if they do that, then they're breaking law, they're breaking Constitution in the state of Minnesota. So none of the top 4 officials in the state, when it comes to election information and voter information, are going to say yes to this. So then Bondi and the crew can go, see, we asked them, we told them what we needed, and they said, no, we're not going to do it. So we have to stay, because they're making us stay, because they're not going by with what that's how this is going to play out. Watch that, John. You know that's going to happen. John Parker, we need more time to talk, but listen, I want you to stay safe, and just, we have to keep our eyes on the prize. I know it's a tough one right now, and you're right there on the ground, so I don't want to sound like somebody that's, calling out on the high, but please stay safe, my friend, you got a home here, so if you need to call and talk about some updates or whatever, just make it happen, all right?
Will do. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. John Parker, y'all, KTNF AM 950 in Minneapolis. We're going to take a quick break, 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Take your driving to the next level in a brand new Porsche from the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2026 Porsche Macan. Right now, lease the 2026 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other when you visit the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. 8,519 due assignment for qualified buyers. Excludes theft, title, license, and back fee. No security deposit required. Expires 2/2/26.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 55 and with one of the big 3 carriers, like Verizon, you may notice they don't talk much about their 55-plus discounts. That's so customers like you keep paying their regular higher rates to boost their bottom line. You deserve better service, with 100% U.S.-based experts, better value, with plans starting at $20, and a company that's built for people 50-plus, like me. Not convinced? Give your current carrier a call, ask about the 55-plus plan you've earned, see how long it takes to get a real person on the line, and if they try to talk you out of it. But if you want something better, call Consumer Cellular. We've got the same great coverage, and our U.S.-based experts can get you switched in about 20 minutes. Switch now to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com for your second month free.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A cold weather advisory remains in effect. We'll see skies becoming mostly sunny here for today with a high around 10 above. Northwest winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Then for tonight, a slight chance for some snow here late. We'll see increasing cloud cover with temperatures falling early, then slowly rising overnight. Tuesday, partial sunshine and windy, high of 16 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 1 above.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show, and thanks for being with us this morning. Great to have John Parker on with us briefly. And we have to wish him well and safety because he is a journalist. He's a reporter, and we want to make sure that he, in the process of covering this craziness, that he stays safe. We're going to hit you with the clip in a second, but I want to talk about something that John mentioned about this training. So what popped into my mind, and it's popped into my mind a few times when I hear people talk about training, how if they're trained 10 days in the right way, whatever the right way is, I'm okay with that. The days of training, I mean, one could say they need more training, and we get all that. But let's be honest. I remember this is a basic sort of thing about, exercise and training and studying. And if you're training people with the wrong way or with the wrong tools and attitude, it could be, you could train them for 1,000 days, but you're just training more of the wrong in them. You know what I mean? So let's all be mindful of it's what's in the training that I think should be as important, if not more, than the amount of training. Now, granted, more of the right training is better than a little bit of bad training. So I think my presumption here is that they're getting a lot, maybe even a little bit, but it's bad training, if that at all. Who knows what the training is? They might be sitting. Listen, I was watching this TV show that talks about the TV show talks about part of the show is about people who are drawn into certain videos and information that gets their brain going in the wrong direction. I'm not going to name the name of the show because that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is this, and let me get my thoughts together. Bad training is bad training is bad training. It doesn't matter if it's 5 days or 500 days. If ICE is being trained in a way, hell, they could be sitting watching videos of propaganda videos. Maybe that's the training. We don't know. And so to that end, let's recognize that bad training is bad training, and then the product that they put out is already tainted. So now it's tainted even further. But our next guest this morning is someone that has made the decision that she's not going to do a doggone thing to help in Donald Trump's terror, and I'm in full agreement with that. Our Chicago city treasurer, who is running for Congress in the 7th Congressional District, as you guys know, Congressman Danny Davis has decided that he's going to hang up his sneakers and no longer be in Congress, which we completely understand and respect his lengthy service. But with us this morning is Melissa Conyears-Ervin, who said, throwing my hat in the ring because I think I got something to say and I think I can get things done. Am I on camera? Okay, good morning, Miss Ervin. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good to see that big, beautiful smile that you just bless us with when you're on camera, wherever you might be. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
We need big, broad smiles and big energy right now because I'm just going to dive in. I know you're running for Congress, and I've interviewed and talked with a handful of folks that are running for not only this congressional seat, but the 9th District, as you know, Jan Schakowsky's seat, soon to be former seat, and for the Senate seat, the U.S. Senate seat with Senator Durbin. I'm thankful that you can hang out with us this morning. So for people who listen that may not be in Chicago, other parts of the country, tell them a little bit about who Melissa Conyears-Ervin is and why you're running for this congressional seat here in Illinois, 7th District.
Yeah, Richard, when you started off, you said good morning, and it's bright and early, and I woke up with this big, beautiful smile because I wake up every morning, Richard, just conquering the world, thinking, what can I do today to help someone? My mother always taught me, and I'll tell you a little bit about her and really what helped to make me who I am today. But my mother always taught me that if I can help someone, then my living will not be in vain. I live by that. That is my motto in life. But I am a young lady that is now running for the 7th Congressional District to succeed Danny Davis, whom we know has been in office almost 30 years. Yeah. So certainly this is a wide open race. This is a race with a number of candidates in it. But with that, we do know that in addition to experience, I have the heart for the people. I'm actually born and raised in this congressional district, which is an anomaly in politics. So I was born in Englewood, which is in the district. I was raised on the west side, all by a single mother. And my mother taught me to never be limited by my zip code. Actually, Richard, I've never lived outside of an underserved zip code in my life. Being born in Englewood, raised on the west side, product of Chicago public schools, first in my family to go to college, attended a public university here in Illinois, Eastern Illinois University. Yeah. But then, like many other young people from my community, went off and said, I want to make a lot of money. I want to, I watched my mother struggle. My single mother watched her struggle to even get childcare assistance and things that was needed. And so I went off into corporate America for about a decade. And corporate America was very good to me. I'm working for a Fortune 100 company as a minority female. But I made one of the best decisions I could have made, and that was to leave corporate to work for my community. And by the way, one of the best things corporate did for me was to pay for my MBA from Roosevelt University.
Good old Roosevelt.
I always tell people I attended public university all my life, except when corporate paid for my MBA, I was able to go to Roosevelt University, a private university. So first began in office, in elected office as Illinois State Representative. And so I know we're talking a lot about Donald Trump today, but even for those that do not live in Illinois, I'm confident you've heard of Bruce Rauner, the governor that was in Illinois. And it was a very difficult time for us. But I began as Illinois State Representative during the time under Bruce Rauner. I'll talk a little bit about my stint there and how I was able to bring value even during that time. Now I'm city treasurer of Chicago. I focus a lot on financial empowerment because I know what working families need and their values. I invest with social impact. Again, I have so much to talk about. I tell you, Richard, every day I wake up, I think about these things, and I'm ready for the conquer.
One of the things that I've learned in almost the 2 years that I've been doing this show and others that I've been on is that you just run out of time when we have guests on, and that's the beauty and that's the curse of live radio is that we can't cover everything in one segment. So what I'll put out to you right now is that we'll try to figure out a way to have you back on. We know that we've got the election coming up, and I know that you've been campaigning hard. This is the thing that I've said. We've been underestimated as Democrats, not just in Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, and the country, but throughout the country. For one, in an area that I think that, I've kind of taken the baton on is that we have a really deep bench of qualified people of all communities, of whether it be our African-American community, our Hispanic and Latino community, our Asian community, our rural white community. We have a really strong bench of competent people that are running for offices throughout this country. And when I see us winning some of the off-year elections or some of the special elections, that makes me proud to know that we've got a better team than they do. And we need to start acting like the varsity team rather than the JV or freshman squad. And we need to stop being told what our messaging should be and have our own message and go forward. And that's one of the things that I'm happy about with all the folks that are running for this district, and you included. You're the latest. But when you're running for a national seat, a federal seat, in a very strong, powerful, influential district in Illinois, and one of the things that you said, you made it loud and clear, that you are not going to be one of those ones who helps fund this administration's terror on the country. And I know you weren't just talking about ICE, but in so many other areas. So as a treasurer, let's talk about that as, I think is going to be one of your staple items if you were to win this seat, how you're going to get there and navigate. Because I think anybody that's running now that gets elected, they have to hit the ground running when they get to Washington, if they're running for a federal seat. They don't have 6 months to figure it out. They got to come in the door and knock some tables over. What are your thoughts about that?
That's why I talk about being a state legislator first. I have the experience, and I have the experience in very difficult circumstances with the Republican Governor Bruce Runner. At the time, I was able to restore child care assistance for over 15,000 families. Even then, as a freshman legislator when I first got into office, but now city treasurer, I made a bold statement as city treasurer. One of my chief responsibilities is to invest taxpayer dollars. And I'm always proud to say Melissa Conyears-Ervin from Inglewood, West Side, managing over $10 billion of taxpayers' money. I do not take that lightly, and I invest with their values. One being when ICE came and occupied Chicago, just truly terrorizing communities. I knew then that this is a different type of administration, that we cannot fight back in normal avenues. We have to be bold, and we have to send a clear message that we will not accept what Donald Trump is dishing out to us. And in that, I made a decision with all of the investments that we can make. I decided as treasurer that we would not send taxpayers' money to invest in U.S. treasuries that we know benefit the administration of Donald Trump. We wanted to send a message to him that we will not invest in his administration that will use our money and turn around to harm us. I'm going to tell you, Richard, when I go into communities, especially those on the south and west sides of Chicago, and when I mention to them that I am boycotting and have divested their money in U.S. treasuries of Donald Trump, I get a standing ovation.
Yeah, and that's the kind of way that we have to work. We have to use that power. We have to use that influence. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with Melissa Conyears-Ervin, who is currently the City of Chicago treasurer and is running for the 7th Congressional District congressional seat here out of Illinois. Ms. Ervin has made it clear she is not going to use taxpayer dollars to fund this regime in any way she can find a way around it, or just to simply say no. And there's going to be other things that if we were to win back the House, which I believe that we will, that I think that all congressional Democrats have got to say, right now, not in 6 months, not in 6 days for that matter. I mean, literally, upon swearing in. I think y'all have got to be prepared prior to next January to say, here's what we're going to do that afternoon after swearing in. I mean, I'm being very, very literal in that sense, because the clock is already running and we already know the destruction that's happening, the lives that have been lost and ruined in so many ways. So how do you speak to, hitting the ground running and what you're going to try to do to galvanize other congressional leaders to be able to operate that way?
So, Richard, when you say we have to hit the ground running and we have to be bold, we have to be unapologetic, and we cannot be afraid. For right now, for me, it looks like there's a one-man show in Washington, D.C., and I'm not pleased with either side of the aisle. Now, of course, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not pleased with either side. I believe that there is too much silence going on right now in Washington, D.C., and when I became Illinois State Representative, now City Treasurer, I've never been one to be quiet. I've never been one to be scared. I've never been one to fear. The reason being is because I tell people, me being born in Inglewood, raised on the West Side, and by the way, a mother of a 9-year-old girl, Black girl that I'm raising in the community on the West Side of Chicago, one of the most challenging areas of our city. I'm also the caretaker for my sister. My sister is disabled from a brain injury at a very young age. When my mother passed away a few years ago, I assumed the responsibility of caretaker for my sister. My sister is disabled, relies on Medicare, Medicaid, and SNAP. So when Donald Trump was playing with SNAP and cut it during the time of Thanksgiving, we talk about un-American. I cannot believe the things that he does. Right now, residents, our most vulnerable, don't know what's going to happen with Medicare, with Medicaid, even SNAP. Right now in Illinois, we're at risk of 400,000 Illinoisans losing SNAP within the next couple of months. Again, in my home, I'm looking at my sister every day, the most vulnerable that relies on the government. It's not right. And I tell you, I wake up every day ready to fight. And when I get to Washington, D.C., if you already see what I'm doing now as city treasurer, to boycott, to say, I will not, with taxpayers' money, fund that authoritarian regime to turn around and hurt us. You just wait until I get to Washington, D.C. Donald Trump hasn't seen anything yet.
Well, communities like ours, Chicago specifically and broadly, have shown how to fight. I'm never one to agree or disagree. Well, let me clean that up. I'm never one to agree with everything everybody does or to disagree with anything that one person does, except now with Donald Trump in the White House. I've said this before, and it's by design, unapologetically partisan. I want him to fail because what he's doing is harming our country. So yes, I'll say it from the top of the mountain. I want Donald Trump and his administration, his regime to fail. His failure means we have an opportunity to take back our country. And that impacts us here in the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, west side of Chicago, in your household. So I want him to fail. And I want us to have leaders who are unafraid. In fact, let's put it in a positive, who are encouraged to speak loudly from the bottom of their shoes about what we have to do to get this regime out of power. And so that's what I'm looking for. And I think that many people here in the state and frankly throughout the country need it more than ever right now. So it's good to hear you're willing to walk in the door. And, if you got to knock over a few tables, let's do it rather than waiting 6-8 months to get your footing, because that's not going to work right now. Talk about.
I don't have the luxury.
None of us do, and I think that I know you're right, Melissa, when you say this, and I'll be not being disrespectful by calling you by your first name, but we'll call you by your first name. I think, Melissa, you're right when you say that there's too many folks that are being quiet or being silenced. They should not be that threatened by one guy, and hopefully this is the message that you're going to be able to draft with whomever your colleagues might be. And, let's talk about how you're going to, I always like to know this question. How are you going to get others inspired that you're working with in Congress to do the things that you believe need to get done?
Yeah, I am a person that I'm a person of inclusion. And so it's not difficult for others to gravitate towards me. Number one, I am a true leader. I feel like I'm a leader from birth. And I guess it was because my mother always taught me that no one was going to hand me anything, and anything that I wanted and desired, I had to get up and work for it. And so I don't mind putting in the work. My staff, everyone will tell you, no one is going to outwork me. So with that, it's easier to join me when you see my heart, when you see my work ethic. That is something that is very important. And I will tell you, when I went to Springfield as Illinois State Representative, we did not at the time have a Democratic Women's Caucus. And we initiated that during my tenure as state representative. And it was comprised primarily of white women. However, me being a Black woman, a person of inclusion, a person that really looks to work with others, I was elected by by my members, my colleagues, to be a co-chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, the first Democratic Women's Caucus in the Illinois House. I think that speaks volumes to who I am and to how people gravitate towards my leadership. I look forward to taking that same tenacity, that same work to Washington, D.C., and I'm confident that others will join me, because I think sometimes people just need to see someone, to see people that are willing to stand up. And I think people joining you is natural, but you gotta be the one to stand up. You cannot be afraid. And I am so bold and unapologetic when it comes to Donald Trump. Killing Americans out on the streets, peaceful protests. We all have a right. That is un-American. This is the president of the United States of America. He has to be stopped.
One of the things that has been said recently that, you know, we've been overusing, and not making this as a criticism of you or anybody else, including myself, that this is un-American. Here's the crazy thing. It's kind of very American, because it's just a question of which community's been at the other end of the bullet. And that is something that I played a clip earlier today that y'all ain't mad enough. And it's basically saying that there's enough. This goes back to your point about silence. There's not enough people who are willing to risk their comfort and privilege to speak out right now. And that's why I asked you the question about what are you going to be able to do or willing to do to draft people into what you believe is right when it comes to stopping this regime. Melissa, kind of the last question. About the cost of things. Affordability has been, you know, a conversation piece, and you know how tariffs have rained down this added tax on all of America. Give us your thoughts. What are you going to try to do if in that role to affect that, and how it's affecting communities all across the country?
There is no doubt billionaires should pay their fair share. There is no doubt the rich should pay their fair share. There is no doubt that we need to help people that are relying on federal government, as I mentioned, one of them being my sister, the most vulnerable. We have residents that cannot afford groceries, cannot afford gas. I went into the grocery store last week with my sister, who I mentioned relies on SNAP. And there was a family pack of ground beef, $28. For some people, that's about half the amount they receive in SNAP per month. I know that sounds wild, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And so I'm in reality here. And I know that affordability is a huge issue. And we must make certain that we protect benefits of our residents. I'll also say this. When we talk about affordability, one of the things that I work on as city treasurer is home ownership. We have residents paying in Chicago $2,000 a month in rent. I heard someone tell me they were paying $3,000 a month in rent. And by the way, it wasn't downtown in the most affluent area. It was in the neighborhood. Some people don't even pay that amount in their mortgage. Some people don't even pay half that amount in their mortgage. But because these banks are not affording residents, everyday citizens, working families, the opportunity to be able to access a mortgage to invest in themselves. This is what they have to do. And so I'll never forget how my single mother felt when she moved her 3 girls from living with family in Inglewood to moving to the West Side and purchasing her own home. Every family ought to have the right to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Melissa, how can folks find you if they want to get involved in your campaign at this point? Where do you want to send them?
Please, melissaforcongress.org. By the way, you can help me by volunteering to make phone calls, knock on doors, and absolutely donate towards the campaign. It's not easy running for federal office. And certainly when you're a Black woman coming from the community, making certain that you're working hard, not necessarily born with a silver spoon in my mouth where I could just call all of my rich friends to write a check. It's not that way. This is a grassroots campaign. I ask that you join the movement, melissaforcongress.org. And .org is very important because it'll take you to Melissa in Chicago.
Got it. Melissa Conyears-Ervin, thank you so much for being with us as our city treasurer here in Chicago, but also candidate for Congress. Try to have you back before we get to the primary. We'll do our best, but in the meantime, stay safe, stay warm. Good Lord, and let's do what we got to do to.
Thank you for everything you do, Richard. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Melissa. Be safe. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, bye-bye. Guys, let's take a quick break. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
With love I will build a wonderful thing that makes this life better for you and for me.
Shriners Hospitals for Children has been creating wonderful opportunities for children in need. This life-changing medical care helps them do the things they've always dreamed of. To find out more, go to loveshriners.org.
Here's a tale of Tina searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till Good RX wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags that are red.
Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
Delivered to your door or pick up same day. Darn tootin'.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
I'll put it to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
Hey Progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Choose Views weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. Central. We're all anxious for the 2026 midterm election to arrive so we can restore some sanity and much needed oversight to our government. In fact, it's the most important midterm election in American history, and Choose Views will be in the thick of it, bringing you candidate interviews on a regular basis. I'll be talking to Democratic Party hopefuls running for House and Senate at the federal and state level, as well as candidates for governor and other state and local offices.
I am in love with our ability to fight for our rights, to fight for our future, to fight for our freedoms, to fight as our ancestors fought. It's just our moment. This is just our time to stand up and to speak up. We can't give up on this.
If you miss any of the interviews live, you'll be able to find them all on WCPT's candidate interviews page at heartlandsignal.com/candidates. That's Choose Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years.
File your taxes for free with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. Just file on your own in the Credit Karma app by February 28th. Valid for those who didn't file with TurboTax last year.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. The father of Alex Preddy is speaking out after his son was killed during a protest against ICE in Minneapolis. AP correspondent Donna Warder has more.
Michael Preddy is looking for answers after his 37-year-old son, Alex Preddy, was shot and killed in Minneapolis by a U.S. Border Patrol agent on Saturday.
I can't get any information from anybody. The police, they call Border Patrol. Border Patrol's closed. The hospitals won't answer any questions.
Alex Preddy was an ICU nurse who was protesting President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown.
He thought it was terrible. Kidnapping children, just grabbing people off the street.
Videos from bystanders show Preddy with a phone in his hand. None appear to show him with a visible weapon. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem accused Preddy of showing up to impede a law enforcement operation, and she questioned why he was armed.
We had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so, that go ahead and protest, but do not engage, do not do anything stupid, basically.
I'm Donna Warder.
Real estate brokers and brothers Tal, Orrin, and Alan Alexander, known collectively as the Alexander Brothers, are facing a sex trafficking trial that could put them in prison for the rest of their lives. The brothers, also known as the A-Team, were predators who sexually assaulted, trafficked, and raped dozens of women from 2008 to 2021. Opening statements are slated for tomorrow in the trial in federal court in Manhattan. In other news, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says a U.S. security guarantee document for Ukraine is ready to be signed. The Ukrainian parliament and the U.S. Congress would need to ratify it. This is AP News. AP correspondent Lawrence Brooks reports on a shooting at a soccer field in central Mexico.
Gunmen opened fire at a soccer field in central Mexico on Sunday, killing at least 11 people and wounding 12. Salamanca Mayor Cesar Prieto said in a statement that the gunmen arrived at the end of a match, firing indiscriminately into the crowds. 10 people died at the scene and 1 died later in hospital. The mayor said a woman and a minor were among the wounded. He said the attack was part of a crime wave in the city and appealed to President Claudia Sheinbaum to help control the violence. Guanajuato had Mexico's highest homicide total last year. A local gang, Santa Rosa de Lima, has been battling the powerful Jalisco New Generation cartel. The Guanajuato State Prosecutor's Office said it was investigating the latest shooting and coordinating with federal authorities to reinforce security in the area. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A cold weather advisory remains in effect. We'll see skies becoming mostly sunny here for today with a high around 10 above. Northwest winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Then for tonight, a slight chance for some snow here late. We'll see increasing cloud cover with temperatures falling early, then slowly rising overnight. Tuesday, partial sunshine and windy, high of 16 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 1 above.
At Straight Talk, we get it. You say no a lot.
Mom, can I get a tarantula?
No.
Coffee?
No.
So we're giving you more reasons to say yes, like a free 5G phone with real unlimited data with select plan activation.
Can I use the free phone?
Yes.
See? Doesn't it feel good to say yes to more?
Absolutely.
Face tattoo?
Absolutely not.
Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. In-store activation of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the second hour of Choose Views here on this January 26, 2026. Crazy weekend, and I guess that's a way I'll phrase it. And we're in this fight, and there's no looking away from it. That's not an option anymore, and we all are tired of it. We're 1 year and a 1 year and a weekend to this hellscape. But there's fighters out there like Melissa Conyears-Ervin, who's running for Congress, and our good friend Sarah Jones from the Daily with Sarah Jones. Good morning, my friend, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. What a heavy time this is.
Yeah, it is. I got to say right out of the gate, I appreciate what you've written in the last 24 to 36 hours on your posts and your articles that you dropped, which have been really great. And we'll get to that. But, I had a chance to talk with John Parker, who is with our affiliate KTNF up in Minneapolis, AM 950. And, his first response when I said to him, how you holding up, is that, he said the words I want to use right now, Richard, I can't say on the radio. And as a journalist, I know I shouldn't be saying them. But that's where we are, Sarah. And I think there's a certain amount of need for us to just say it. Obviously on the radio, there's certain things that you and I can't say and others can't say, but I think that we have to throw the proverbial shoe at the television. We have to get angry. We have to if we don't, one, the psychiatrist will tell you it'll come out the wrong way, at the wrong time or at the wrong person. But I think that there is a need for us to sort of publicly get rid of this PTSD and sort of let it be known that this is not acceptable. Beyond not being acceptable, it is something that we have to throw all of our energy into fixing right now. And I know that the midterms is what we're all looking at as sort of our beacon of when we'll have federal power. But I think that right now people have to be willing to keep fighting, keep protesting, keep making their voices heard.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think also to be calling your senators right now, Republican or Democrat, and tell them they must not continue to fund DHS until reforms are put into place for ICE, until the cameras that Trump, he cut back on all the funding for the body cameras
and
for
Sarah,
ICE.
help me out with that real quick. I was texted earlier that he rescinded the body cam law that Biden put in place. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it was funding, basically. What Trump did, because he really wasn't supposed to do this without Congress, what he did, because to get around that is, this was a Reuters report, he cut all the funding for it, and then he fired all of these people that were working in the oversight office. So there was, I think there's 3 people left. So he put on leave nearly all the staffers that were working for these internal watchdogs, and they were conducting oversight of immigration agencies, which is all of this stuff, of course, was already in place. This is how the government normally operated, and it surely wasn't perfect. But if you keep in mind that DOJ came in and claimed that their goal was to get rid of fraud, waste, and abuse. And what they did in order to achieve that was firing all of these watchdogs who were independent. And a lot of those people were replaced with Trump sycophants. So, obviously that goal was a lie. It was very misleading. And so he not only put those people on leave, and then I believe there's a quote in here. The director, Darius Reeves, who was the director of ICE's Baltimore, and I'm reading from a Reuters article, ICE's Baltimore field office until August, said a body camera pilot program rollout had been slow in 2024 under President Biden, but had died under the vine under Trump. And so what he did, he cut back the funding by 75%. And these body cam, this whole thing was one of Biden's pushes was for police reform, and he was trying to do that without alienating the police, but to say let's get back to community policing. And one of the ways to do that is to have transparency and to build trust in the community, and these body cameras do that. That's one of the things that the people that were pushing for community policing really wanted, and so this was a goal with a slow rollout, but now it's been basically destroyed by Trump because he doesn't want the way they're out here lying, the way the administration is out here lying about what just happened to Alex Preddy, about how they executed him in public when he did not have a gun in his hands, and video has proven that. He had a phone in his hands. They don't want – this is why they're taking people's phones now. They don't want any evidence that shows what they're doing. They don't want to show that they are executing people. That doesn't look good to voters. And they don't want you guys getting on the phone and calling your senators and saying don't fund them. And you must do that. Everyone must do that because we cannot – our tax dollars are paying for these murders right now.
Yeah. And
that's the way we all have to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I go down some crazy alleys that's defined by me when I think about this, and it's like the reason that the Senate has to understand and the House has to understand on both sides, but particularly the Republicans, the GOP, and then on a state level, the reason that they have to understand, and the governors on a state level have to understand that this has to stop, is that there's going to be a situation where ICE pulls this and there's going to be a bullet that kills someone of them. An ICE agent's going to get killed by a bullet that, because I've watched a couple of the videos. I've watched the videos of both Miss Good's assassination and Mr. Preddy's murder. And in each of those cases, just a measure of a few inches, and one of their own agents would have been shot by the, I'm not going to call it friendly fire, but for the purposes of this conversation, friendly fire could have been the result of what they did. And the other part that I look at is that at some point, someone that's a person on the right is going to get inadvertently injured or killed by ICE. That's why, that's not why, but that's one of the things that's not being brought into this conversation. I've listened to hundreds of interviews on corporate media, and I haven't seen it yet, where someone said, what happens if ICE accidentally shoots one of their own, and or someone of the GOP, someone that's a Republican that happens to be, at a rally or a protest. And I know that shouldn't be the way that we look at it. But the reason that I look at it like that is it says that the federal dollars, the state dollars in certain cases, cannot be going toward any of this, because the next thing you know, we're going to start having people that are incidents of friendly fire or fire that was inadvertent. And call me crazy. I don't know.
No, actually, I mean, it's such a good point, because I saw the exact same thing in both. I've been writing about this for, the past year, about the incompetence that we see in ICE. And one of the reasons that I say that is I did a documentary many years ago on the training for the military for using their guns. And so I learned from this so much about their training on de-escalation, their training on the stages that must be there before they open fire, right? All of the conditions that have to be present before they engage in using their weapon, before you raise your weapon, before you get it ready to fire. And none of those things are happening with these people. These guys are acting like they've never had a day of training. Some of them have had training. Some of them have not, but especially the new people under Trump have not had sufficient training, and I think that's been pretty well documented. A lot of them haven't. But they're being told from the Trump administration that they have immunity and they can do whatever they want, basically. And so, but what we saw in both of those videos is absolutely what you mentioned. There's this fumbling with the gun, and in the most recent shooting, you see when it slowed down, you see the other agents seeing that this guy with the gun pointed at Alex Preddy was going to shoot him. And they all are trying to get up and get away.
Right.
So they don't get shot, right? If they had been shot, then this administration would have blamed a protester. Yeah. They would have blamed Alex Preddy. They're already calling him a domestic terrorist, which is one of them, just like they did to Renee Good. And these lies that are being told about innocent American people who are exercising their First Amendment right and responsibility and duty as a citizen are so egregious. And I think when you started this off by saying people need to get angry and we have to express that anger, I could not agree more. I think it's really important, and this is one reason why I try for so long in my work to not express anger, and I think I've talked to you about that even on your show, that I don't like all the rage bait that's out there, and it's been out there for years, and the fear bait. I don't like that, because when moments like this come, people need to understand that something has changed. Mm-hmm. And when you have the level up to 10 all the time, people can't see that. This is a 10 moment. Yeah. This is a critical moment, and people need to be with this moment. And I don't know. It's a real. Yeah, go ahead.
No. And I'm with you on that, Sarah. It's a very challenging needle to thread, and that when I talk about people being angry, let me. And I know you understand this because you know how I think about this. What I'm saying, America, is this. Don't sit back and let this just be yet another situation. Don't go out and do something stupid or crazy. Don't get me wrong. Anybody that's listening, I'm not advocating violence of any sort or aggression. What I'm advocating is let yourself feel this anger. Don't be numb to it because it just keeps happening, because that's when believe it or not, that then causes silence because you become numb to this and you don't acknowledge that you are in pain. If you step on a nail, it hurts. And then for you to not acknowledge that you stepped on a nail and then and if it breaks the skin and you develop tetanus, you can't do that. So I'm saying embrace the anger that this is causing in you, us, all of us, and then let's do something constructive with that anger, because it should anger people. It shouldn't just frustrate us. It shouldn't just, it should tick us off on a level, like you said, 10. And then we have to take that energy and constructively get after our leaders and say, this is unacceptable, and I'm angry about it.
And I know exactly. I know you have to qualify things, and I have to do that as well. It's actually becoming really old. And because I never once have I ever advocated for violence, and I'm just really tired of it. It's all baloney. I have never done that. You have never done that. No, I don't know anybody on the left. I've never heard anyone in their podcasts, on their TV. I've never heard anybody. And I'm not saying there aren't fringe. There are people on the fringes, but nobody in any of the left doesn't put up with that. So it's just baloney, and I'm tired of it. And actually, what I want to say is to take what you just said. I want to escalate that to the next level, which is we need to stop apologizing.
Yeah.
We need to stop apologizing for being angry. We need to stop apologizing for not liking what's happening, for not being perfect all of the time, and just sitting here like good little quiet minions and taking this. Because of the way that the left and independent, anybody who's anti-Trump has been painted for so long, even before Trump. If you look back at the way the Tea Party was so effective in getting media attention and in moving the country further to the right, they did it just by making noise and complaining nonstop.
Yep, they did.
And the left is like the opposite of that. The left is like, we just want to let's come to the table. Let's get along. Well, you know what? If you don't want to see that in your leaders, don't show it in yourself.
I want to see, and this is, and Sarah, I didn't mean to cut you off, by the way. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with Sarah Jones of Gaily and PoliticusUSA. Sarah, listen, this is the thing. You and I are both saying the same thing, just coming at it slightly differently. And I know Kurt Mullet from Hoosier Blue 63 feels this way often. I know Karen Byrne feels this way often. Is that we have to be unapologetic about our anger, because that is one of the easiest ways to silence people, is to make them feel guilty about their anger and their frustration. It is something you said months ago that we need to revisit right now, and we will. And that's the PTSD of a feeling of being in an abusive relationship. And that Donald Trump and this regime they are the abusers, and they want us to acquiesce and to be silent and to not speak. We can't be that way. We have to yell. We have to be loud. We have to continue. And that means if you can't go out in the street in the cold weather in Minneapolis or Chicago or some other place, that means you spend a half an hour less doing something else that you like, and a half an hour on the phone calling congressional leaders and calling other state leaders to let them know we're done with this. We need to be the threat to the parties, plural, not just this sort of threat from Donald Trump that they're going to get primaried if they stand up to him. And business leaders, same thing. Yeah,
that's exactly it. All of this is happening because he is such a threat. And we've even seen Democrats catering to him, right?
Yep.
They need to realize that there is a threat to their position, not a physical threat, a threat to their position from the other side. And one of the things that I've been talking about this, I think, 15 years now. Shame. The conservatives use shame very effectively on everything. You saw, just look at how they responded after Charlie Kirk was shot. And I still think that the administration is lying about what the motivation was behind that shooting, if indeed they have the right person that they've accused. But They use shame to silence everybody. This is what they're always doing. We have to turn that around and use that shame against them. And I say this all the time. Shame on you. How dare you? How dare you lie about Renee Good? How dare you lie about Alex Preddy after you slaughtered them in broad daylight on video in front of all of America? Yeah. How dare you? And we will not put up with this. And I would say, to the rhetoric, not in a violent way. The rhetoric has to be escalated, not in a violent way, but in a way of holding people accountable. I would say to representatives and to senators, unless you support the murder of American citizens, you need to vote no on this. We have had it.
Yeah, vote no on everything that has to do with any funding or anything that gives any further power, not just to ICE, but any of the government agencies that are causing harm and, excuse me, guys, causing harm and despair to people throughout this country. It's way past time. And again, I want to revisit this just so that people understand. We cannot sit back and take this punishment, this horrific way of what the federal government is doing, not allowing to be done, but is doing.
It's terrorism.
It's terrorism.
It's terrorism.
Talk about domestic. Yeah. The domestic terrorists are ICE, DHS, HHS,
Donald Trump.
Those are the terrorists. And I'd love to see. We'll have a little bit of fun here for a moment. I would love it if you and me and two of my good friends, Rico and Rick Kasperzak and Rico Moat, who've been in studio with me a couple times the last month or so, the four of us were sitting in one of these Caroline Levitt Mean Girl sessions, and would ask the tough questions, the ones that they won't get asked, and that they certainly don't answer if they on occasion do get asked the question. Let's put their feet to the fire. And when she starts to become Mean Girl, just, and calling people left wing, this, that, or the other, my pivot point was, I'm just balancing out your right wing, you being a right wing hack. We have to hit them harder. We just have to hit them harder.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And I mean, if I was in there, in fact, they wouldn't let me come. I covered the Biden administration, but these people won't let me come in to even ask a question. They won't even reply. So they're just so they're so small. They're so afraid of and contemptuous of what is really the most basic American freedom, which is, you're supposed to be in the government. You're supposed to be transparent. You're supposed to answer questions from the media, from the press. So I would say to her, I'm responding to your rabid right-wing lies and the way you're disparaging American citizens and justifying the murder of an American mother and Alex Preddy, who was he was a medical professional who I
want to ask her, and I'm sure you probably have thought this too. So, Caroline, how would you feel if this happened to a family member of yours, if they were killed on the street like this? I mean, I just think we have to start pinning their ears back when we're talking about anybody in the administration. We have to phrase our dialogue to say, Stephen Miller, how would you feel? How would you feel if this happened to a member of your family? And on and on and on in that space. RFK, how would you feel if a member of, and it already unfortunately has happened, has died because of the ineptitude of now our Department of Health and Human Services? We have to put it in their laps and make them feel some pressure. I don't think
they would even care. And that's why I think what you're getting at is, instead of asking them how they would feel, because they don't have empathy, and I don't think they actually would care.
Okay.
I actually think that's a big problem here, is that they've lost their humanity, if they ever had it, and they don't really care about anyone but themselves. We saw that with, RFK. I think the thing to say is, we know this would only matter if it happened to you. And it's very poor leadership for you to not even pretend to care about other people.
Got it. That is
it's
a better
really
way.
pathetic that you don't have any humanity. So my question is, so that you frame it this way, put the frame out there and lead with that framing. Because what is it? They need to be on the defensive. Don't ask questions to suggest like they have some kind of humanity. You know, how would you feel? That gives them an opening to spin more lies. So I would say put them on the defensive like they have already put everyone else on the defensive. They didn't come here to have a dialogue with us. They didn't come here to reach peace with us. They are saying, your lives don't matter. We're going to slaughter you because you didn't vote for us, because you don't agree with what we're doing to immigrants. We're going to kill you. I wouldn't have a dialogue with somebody like that. I wouldn't do it in my personal life, and I'm sure as heck not going to do it in my professional life. And I would, because they have an even larger responsibility in my professional life. They are supposed to be accountable. So I would say yes. It's very clear that you don't care about these people's lives, and you wouldn't care unless it happened to you. But the question here is, don't you have a responsibility? What is your responsibility to the American people? Do you have any shame at all?
Yeah. Sarah, that this is why I love taking the time to talk with people like you, to friends like you who have the understanding that we have tools in our toolkit to use. We just have to use them the right way. But the worst thing is to not use them at all. So thank you for that. I mean, I think a lot of people who are listening all over the country just got a 101 lesson in how to reframe and better frame our conversations with people that we talk to every day, yet alone the journalists that we may be in front of or have the opportunity to question on these issues, and specifically the administration and what they're saying when they go to the press conferences. So that's just golden. Thank you for that, Sarah. That's right on point.
Well, it goes to your point that you made, in the opening here about what happened, and what would happen with these shootings if an ICE person is shot. It's like we have to look underneath all of this stuff and ask these questions, and then start talking about those different scenarios, because this is the place we're at right now.
Yeah, it is. Sarah Jones, y'all, hanging out with us this morning. And I know that you, given where you live, like us here in Chicago, you have had to deal with some crazy weather the last 48 to 72 hours. So I hope you're hanging in there.
I think our state is shut down. Yeah, we're like, they put us in a state of emergency or something, and I don't know. So for me, I'm like, we have power. We're very lucky because I think over 1 million people are without power. Yeah. So awful.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But we have power. We're just buried in snow, so we'll survive.
We'll survive. Guys, you have to follow Sarah on all the socials, and you definitely have to subscribe to her Substack. And she just writes great stuff. I am so honored to have you on the show, and I'm so glad that I get the chance to read and talk about what you put out there for so many people. So, guys, make sure you're following Sarah Jones. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning, as always.
Thanks so much for having me, Richard, and on your great show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We will talk to you soon. Have a good rest of the week, Sarah.
All right. You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Let's take a quick break, Devin. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we will be right back.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning attorney who drafts living trusts and wills for my clients. You have probably heard my ads here on WCPT for the last few years. Your fellow listeners, when we have completed their plans, say, I wish I had done this sooner. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. We can complete your estate plan within 30 days or less. There are certainly decisions that need to be made, but my 30-plus years of experience will help guide you through this process. There may never be a perfect time to start, but whenever I'm asked when is the best time, my answer is always the same. Now is the best time, while it is on your mind. Being able to tell your family that you have an estate plan in place, that all the details have been taken care of, will be a great relief to both yourself and those you care for the most. Our initial consultation is without charge, and there is no obligation. My phone number is 847-996-0496, and my website is moreelawoffice.com, spelled M-O-R-E-E. I look forward to speaking with you.
Check Up on Health with Chris Whitting.
A study by researchers at the University of California, Davis, found concerning levels of toxic metals in popular disposable e-cigarettes. Professor Brett Poulin was the study's senior author.
Across all three brands, we found concerningly high concentrations of metals. For one of the brands, they were using lead alloys or lead metals in the devices that was leaching into the liquid and then being transferred into the mist that is produced. And the concentrations were startlingly high, so high that when we first analyzed it, we actually thought that our instrument was malfunctioning.
Dr. Poulin is especially concerned for young people
because their nervous system is developing and establishing all those connections. And so it's tightly linked to decreased motor function and cognitive ability and can have lifelong effects.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A cold weather advisory remains in effect. We'll see skies becoming mostly sunny here for today with a high around 10 above. Northwest winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Then for tonight, a slight chance for some snow here late. We'll see increasing cloud cover with temperatures falling early, then slowly rising overnight. Tuesday, partial sunshine and windy, high of 16 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 1 above.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Richard Chu's got his eyes on the truth. And you're right where you need to be. This is Chu's Views.
Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls and talking to David Hochberg, president of lending for Team Hochberg at Homeside Financial. Bill Scher, politics editor, Washington Monthly. Corbin Brent, co-founder of Brand New Congress and co-director of Justice Democrats, and two grassroots organizations working to elect progressive Democrats. Tuesday's ACLU fundraiser at the Chef's Special Cocktail Bar in Chicago. There you go. Live, Local, and Progressive. That's Joan Esposito. Weekdays, 2 to 5 Central here on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com. And tune in tonight. On Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by Dr. Jason Bissell, Director of Chicago Community Acupuncture, Jenny Caracco, the approachable healer, and Gaily Patterson, candidate for Congress in Idaho's 1st District. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7, Central here on WCPT AM 820, Heartland Signal, TuneIn website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And then tomorrow, Gwen Hurt, founder and CEO of Shoe Crazy Wine. It'll be a fun story. Seth David Radwell, author of American Schism, How the Two Enlightenments Hold the Secret to Healing Our Nation, and Deb Howery, the former chief medical officer for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, who resigned, if you guys recall, last August. Looking forward to having them all with us tomorrow. And then again, remember the WCPT Senate Candidate Forum with Raja Krishnamurthy, Juliana Stratton, and Robin Kelly is happening Friday, February 6th at 1 p.m. I'll be moderating the forum along with Joan Esposito and Patty Vasquez. And if you want to attend for free, visit the heartlandsignal.com/forum site and register today because seating is limited. Okay. I wanted to have a good local story, a good local voice who's been with us before. You guys may remember back in the late fall before we got to Thanksgiving, I had a woman on who is a founder of a business that has really changed the neighborhood. And we were talking with Treasurer Melissa Conyears-Ervin earlier about the west side of Chicago. But what our next guest has done is not only impacted the west side of Chicago, but I would say the entire city of Chicago, and is a template for what can be done throughout the rest of the country. Who am I speaking about? Liz Abunaw, who is the CEO and founder of 40 Acres Fresh Market here in Chicago. Good morning, Liz, and welcome to Choose Views.
Hey, Richard. How's it going?
It's going great, Liz. I know that, like all of us right now, it's Chicago. It's cold. It's snowy. It's all the above. So it's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's just that we still don't have to like it. So
I'm not a fan.
listen,
At all.
As I've gotten chronologically older, I've said, listen, once the snow has fallen and it's on the ground, or I'm sorry, it's on the trees and the yard, and then, but the sidewalks are clear and the roadways are clear. Okay. But it's that period of time when you got to walk in it or you have to drive in it that is just, and at this point in my life, it's like, all right, but forward we progress and forward we go.
I actually have to, I don't mind when it's snowing itself, because the temperature at which it has to be for it to snow is not freezing. It's when the snow falls and then the temperature drops and it's like 10 degrees, 0, sub-zero. This is bad for business. I hate this. I cannot wait to be through this, because it is crappy for the grocery business.
Yeah.
They said January is the worst month, and they were not lying.
I got to agree with you there. Taking that perspective, yes. And for your customers who have got to navigate to get there, and it's a necessary thing, it's still not good. But here's the beauty of 40 acres. I get text messages like this that you need to hear.
Okay.
I've been to 40 acres, and it is wonderful. Everyone should make it there. That comes from one of our listeners that sent me this text just since you've been on this morning. You've earned, you've earned that, Liz. You truly have. And I've said to everybody that listens, whether they be in the Chicago area or they be someplace else in the country, get with 40 acres and make this part of your thing that you do, where you shop, that you talk about, so that people can continue to support your business. I'm a big advocate of supporting African American, minority-owned businesses, and I'm so proud that you're doing what you're doing. And so I just wanted to read you that text that came from one of our listeners.
Awesome sauce. That was, you know what I do to make myself feel better? I read our Google reviews.
You have to. That's why, listen, we know what's going on in our country right now, and it's, candidly, it sucks. I ain't gonna lie. Or tap dance around it. What happened this weekend is just a flat out tragedy. On so many levels, and it's criminal. It's criminal. And listen, I know you have a lot to say about a lot of things. But right now, I just wanted to give you your flowers again for doing such a wonderful job and building a business in the city of Chicago that people are loving, and it's great to see that things have been moving forward for you. How did the holiday season go? I know that's such a big part of the business for grocery stores in general, but how did things go? What was the feeling? What was the vibe, from Halloween until New Year's?
Oh God. Okay. So there was, but I think you have to remember that between Halloween and Thanksgiving, there was the government shutdown.
Yep.
So there was a lot of trepidation around the removal of SNAP benefits.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people assumed that SNAP made up a far larger percentage of our revenue than it actually does. We have a very mixed income customer base, and that's often misunderstood. So, we had, and it's also the holidays, so people want to do things for people around food. So we really benefited from, a donor who was like, hey, I want to give out $150 vouchers for people to come shop at the store. So that introduced new people to the store. That was a great day for us. The actor and rapper Vic Mensa was like, I'm choosing 10 people to just fill their grocery carts with. And so that was a boost for the store. And then just really strong word of mouth, really strong, some viral social media posts that we had nothing to do with. November was great. We were like, we're growing. This is working. And then after Thanksgiving, everything just died. And we were like, what the hell? A little bit of pickup around Christmas, but it's been tough. It's been, and it's the first year of business. And I think people have to remember that. I have a lot of people like congratulating me on like all this success. I'm like, we're less than a year in. We're not successful yet. Like there's a blueprint to get there, but like following every single thing on that blueprint and hitting every lever every week is really hard. And it's a slog, and it's we fight for every single customer. And I think the thing we fight the most is, I think people have to remember that we are a store that really serves two neighborhoods. We're on the west side, but we're so far west that within a half mile of our store, less than a half mile, you hit Oak Park, which is a very different neighborhood than Austin. And then Austin and the diversity of income within Austin itself and where we're located in Austin, you have like one group of customers who almost seems, I hate to use this word, but like disengaged and a little apathetic, because they're like, I live a block or two from the store, but I haven't been there yet. Oh yeah, there is a store there, huh? And I just know that if a store like 40 Acres opened up in West Town where I live, like everybody would be there just out of a sense of like just curiosity. Like there's a new grocery store near me. Like obviously I'm gonna go. And then on the other side of it, there's like this. Sometimes it feels a little condescending and patronizing. Like, oh, look at the good deed they're doing in Austin. Let's go support them. And oh, look what I'm doing. Like it's just.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Like I'll take money from any and everywhere. I don't care. We need it. But it is very like, no, we're just a freaking good grocery store. Like we are doing our best to be good at this, not like as a nice thing to do, but because I want to operate a really good business. I want to operate a competitive business. I want to operate a business that offers something that others don't, that other alternatives don't give you. I want to carve out this really distinct place in the market and win at that. You know, I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
You have a former gifted kid here, like
who's now a gifted adult that's like, wait a minute, what the hell here?
What the hell? Like this isn't just a damn good store. Like we work really hard to make sure to have the right products.
Yeah.
The things we do in terms of customer service, it goes above and beyond. And then like our meat department, our prepared foods, like when we miss the mark, I take it personally. When we can't do everything I want to do, I'm like, I feel like I'm letting people down. And I think that strive for excellence gets missed in the story of like, oh, 40 Acres is serving this community that hasn't been served. And I think that the piece of it that's about like excellence and that you're not sacrificing to shop here.
Yeah. You know,
is kind of missed.
I know what you mean, Liz. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and I'm talking with Liz Abunaw, who is the founder, CEO of 40 Acres Grocery Store. And listen, Liz, I want to just come back to something that you said, and for those out there that don't get this, there is a certain feeling oftentimes, and when there is a women-owned, I can't speak for women, but for women, I'm broadly speaking, and or minority-owned business, that I want to go and help out. No, this is a business, y'all. This is a good business. This is a business that does well. This is not benevolence and charity. This is something that's good for your community because it takes care of something that a lot of the big box stores don't have a care for, which is food insecurity on a baseline. And then it's a great business because of what Liz just said about customer service, product selection, all those items. And then I'm going to read you a text, Liz, that I just got. Hi, Richard. Wow. 40 Acres looks wonderful online. The building looks cool. I will drive the extra miles to support this store. Please tell Liz, the owner, to hang in there. Adele from Villa Park. It's because it's a good business, y'all. That's the reason you want to support this business. In addition to, it's serving what our government on many levels has failed to do. and that's navigate food insecurity. So,
and I actually kind of want to correct you on that, on the food insecurity issue, because I think people confuse food access with food insecurity.
Thank you for
and so
can you share so please help define those or clean those up for me. I'm sorry, literally clean up
Absolutely.
on aisle 7.
I love it. We don't even have an aisle 7. We only have 4 aisles. But so food insecurity is it's not just access, it's not having the means to afford food. And so we are not a store that we aren't a pantry, we're not a reduced subsidized grocer that where people are purchasing at such low prices that at 50 cents for eggs. No, we're not that. That is not what we are. It's about access. And I think during the pandemic, every single person, no matter income level, felt what it was like to not be able to access something even though they could afford it. Shelves were empty. It was long waits for delivery. I have been in situations where I have the money for food, but I'm just not in an area where I can get the food that I want. And I think what we have to remember is that in neighborhoods like Austin, yes, food insecurity is an issue, but there is a safety net system that is already in place that deals with that. This is an access issue.
Okay.
This is the mayor of Chicago lives behind our store. And I'm sorry if I'm putting this business on Front Street.
No. He's been on the show a number of times.
If you put a pin in his house and drew a map, he's about a mile from a close grocery store. Now he's a block. I have just improved his access to good food options in his community. Our goal, part of accessibility is affordability, and we try to we do our best to line up with major retailers like the store that rhymes with fools or the other one that rhymes with feets. We do our best to line up everyday pricing around that level, and then we have great merchandising, great sales. We have amazing private label that offers everyday savings. We try to offer value to everybody every day across income levels. So this is not about, oh, hey, this store is here for people who can't afford food. It is increasing options and access across income levels. So I just want to be really clear on that there's organizations that work specifically with food insecurity. We are firmly on the access side.
Well, listen, this is I was sitting here listening and saying what's great about this morning for me is I have had 4 guests on, and in each case, each of the 4 of you have said, let me help you. Let me clean that up for you a little bit, Richard. Let me correct that a little bit or make it light. And the beauty in that is, and this is why I'm so humble in doing my show, is that I learn something every time I say something that's not quite on point, but then so does everybody else, because now we know the difference between food insecurity and food access. Maybe there's others that knew already, but I'm glad you made that clear as it relates to not only what it is on any level, but also that what your mission is. And the defining line between security or insecurity rather and access. The lack of access. Yes, I won't say I forgot, but you helped to remind us all that during COVID, many of us had the resources, but getting to it was an issue for so many. And you're solving one more readily and one indirectly by just the virtue of you being in business. And that's probably the way that I would change my way of approaching how I talk about you. You're solving both of them. It's just a question of where the majority of the effort and the mission statement has landed. So thank you for that, Liz. And I think people understand better now. Access and insecurity both are ones that we want to resolve. So it's been, I think, I appreciate that, because I didn't really look at it that way, and the awareness does help. And the hits just keep coming in, Liz. People are People are going to be checking out your store. Thank goodness. This is great.
People are up early.
Yeah, they are. They really are. And we at the station definitely are up early. All right. So in these last couple of minutes, let's talk about something that goes back to a part of what you said a moment ago about, things were challenging and crazy in December. As you look at 2026 and you go forward and you know all the pressures that are coming onto businesses when it comes to tariffs from this regime in Washington, D.C., and you recognize the state of Illinois and its budget and all the things that affect and create different forms of compression and pressure on you. As you're looking at this year, what are you looking at and planning as some of your high points, your high marks, and things that you know that you want to hit? Where are you kind of looking at the ebbs and flows of the year? Does that make sense, Liz?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I think for us is we are building the plane as we fly it. So it's getting the plane completely built. That's my goal. We could not wait until every single thing was in place before we opened, or else we would just be burning cash. So, for example, we do not have a sign for our building on the Chicago Avenue facade. Like the main thoroughfare, there's no signage that on the building that says it's 40 Acres Fresh Market. That's in fabrication now and should be installed by March. I cannot wait for that to happen. We are in the process of getting our packaged goods license, which is our liquor license. Grocery stores in Illinois can sell liquor. We could not get that until a bunch of other stuff was in place. And so we just passed our inspections and we're waiting on final approval for our liquor license. We are about to have our inspections to take women, infants, and children, WIC. We need to get up on like the healthcare benefit cards that can be used at grocery stores. So there's multiple forms of payment that we don't accept yet. We do accept Link, but there's more out there that once again expands access for people, because when you're expanding the method, like the number of payment methods that you can accept, you're increasing access in that way for more people. So I think for me, it's like, okay, by the spring, I want this to really be complete on all levels, meaning we can take all these forms of payment, we can carry alcohol, we can do all of the things that our competitors can do. And I feel like that brings us up to full strength. It's really just about hitting like those year-end metrics. Our goal is at the end of this year to be hitting $85,000 a week in revenue. And it's still like, we're still a long ways away from that. And it's about things like building our foot traffic every day and the things that we need to do that. From advertising and marketing and PR, interviews like this always help. It's really about buckling down and consistent operational excellence, and that's what I am laser focused on.
How are you? So one of the things that I think is always going to be important when it comes to a retail business, obviously foot traffic is a big part of it, but how about things like parking and just sort of, I know the sign is on your radar for March. That's going to be a visual benefit, but those are all parts of this. And I know you probably have a plan to affect those things as well, correct?
Yes. So we have a parking lot. We have, I believe it's 17 parking spaces in the lot. And that seems to be enough right now, given the format of the store, the footprint of the store. The store is less than 10,000 square feet with about 6,000 square feet of retail space. If you go on our Google reviews, you will see several people say, I get everything I need there, and I get in and I get out in like 45 minutes or less, or 30 minutes or less. So you don't have cars sitting in the parking lot as long. It reminds me of my operations courses at business school, where they talk about like, how many do you need if one is leaving every 30 minutes and somebody's coming in every 2 minutes? And
gosh,
so, like,
I remember that.
So right now it's like, it's always a flow of when we're busy, like when it's humming, somebody's coming in, somebody's coming out.
Yeah.
And so we have parking, but the great thing about our parking, which I love, is that you're never that far from the entrance. You don't have to trek across half a football field to get from your car to the entrance. And in this weather, that matters.
Yes, it does. It definitely
matters when it's like 10 below.
Not just the wind hitting you, but, like I said, access, walking down the street and walking through the sidewalk or the parking lot.
Exactly. And I think also with this weather, I can't wait for this weather to break because so many of our customers live close enough to the store to walk that they're just like, I'm just going to walk there.
Yeah.
And when it's super cold, when it's raining, or when it's snowing, it creates friction between people and the store. Like if I was going to walk, I'd be like, I ain't walking in this.
Yeah.
Unless I absolutely have to. So that affects us. So any retail is weather dependent, but a store like ours is like, oh God, this is killing me.
Liz Abunaw, 40 acres, y'all. Fresh market located on Chicago's west side. Liz, give us
5713 West Chicago Avenue.
That's what I was just going to say, Liz. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Stay warm, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care of you.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.
Stay tuned, guys, for the Stephanie Miller Show. And as always, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Whether you're a bird enthusiast or you simply enjoy the sights and sounds of nature, Enchanted Gardens Cardinal Mix Premium Bird Food Blend is a must-have year-round. Pick up a 20-pound bag. On sale now through February 8th. View our entire selection of wildlife products on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer and find all of the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Democratic senators are vowing to oppose a funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security following the shooting death of a 37-year-old Minnesota man, increasing the possibility of a partial government shutdown by the end of the week. AP correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on the ongoing protests in Minneapolis.
Democratic officials and protesters on the streets are demanding that federal immigration officers leave Minnesota after a Border Patrol agent fatally shot a man in Minneapolis. The man was identified by his parents as Alex Preddy. He was a 37-year-old intensive care unit nurse. On Sunday, Democratic Governor Tim Walz said he met with Preddy's parents and promised to continue to tell his story. At a news conference, Walz turned to the camera and asked,
"What's the plan, Donald Trump? What is the plan? What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state? You thought fear, violence, and chaos is what you wanted from us? And you clearly underestimated the people of this state and nation."
The shooting over the weekend drew hundreds of demonstrators into the frigid cold in a city already shaken by another killing weeks earlier. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara says information about what led up to Preddy's shooting is limited.
A man was arrested Friday night at a party during the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah, for allegedly assaulting a Florida congressman. Democratic Representative Maxwell Frost wrote on X on Saturday that he was punched in the face by a man who told Frost that President Trump was going to deport him. Judges at the International Criminal Court have ruled that former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte is fit to stand trial after postponing an earlier hearing over concerns about his health. Duterte is facing charges of crimes against humanity as part of his so-called war on drugs when in office. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. The Patriots and Seahawks are headed to Super Bowl 60. New England secured its record 12th Super Bowl appearance with a 10-7 win in snowy Denver in the AFC Championship game. Drake May had 65 yards rushing and a touchdown.
We're going to the Super Bowl. That sounds pretty good.
Seattle earned its 4th Super Bowl berth by defeating the LA Rams 31-27 in the NFC title game. Sam Darnold passed for 346 yards and 3 scores. The NBA postponed games in Memphis and Milwaukee due to a winter storm affecting much of the U.S. Defending champion Madison Keys was knocked out of the Australian Open by fellow American Jessica Pegula in the 4th round, and world number 1 Scottie Scheffler earned his first win of the year by 4 strokes at the American Express. Gethin Coolbaugh, AP Sports.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A cold weather advisory remains in effect. We'll see skies becoming mostly sunny here for today with a high around 10 above. Northwest winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Then for tonight, a slight chance for some snow here late. We'll see increasing cloud cover with temperatures falling early, then slowly rising overnight. Tuesday, partial sunshine and windy, high of 16 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, 0.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Horowitz and Associates. Cliff Horowitz's grandfather started this family law firm, and he always said, you know what, if we're going to get full justice for our clients, we have to go to trial. Trial, though, can be very time-consuming, and that's why most firms won't go to trial. They just settle for the insurance company's offer. But the Horowitz family spent a century going to trial. They're taking cases to trial now, and they're winning many record-setting verdicts. Cliff Horowitz is a third-generation trial lawyer, getting people the full justice they deserve. Call 312-800-8000 or go to horowitzlaw.com.
WCPT 820 will be hosting a candidate forum for the 3 leading candidates for Illinois' open United States Senate seat in the Democratic primary on February 6th.
Please join us at the Plumbers Hall at 1340 West Washington in Chicago, or listen to the live broadcast.
Representative Raja Krishnamurthy, Representative Robin Kelly, and Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton will be discussing their stances on the issues and making their case for your vote.
WCPT hosts Patty Vasquez, Richard Chu, and of course Jonas Esposito will be moderating the forum.
To attend in person, go to heartlandsignal.com/WCPT820 and register. We'll have limited seats available, so please register early.
Meet the leading Senate Democratic candidates at a free WCPT Live Candidate Forum at Plumbers Union Hall, Local 130 on Washington Street in Chicago, Friday, February 6th.
The forum starts at 1 p.m. and is sponsored by Plumbers Union Local 130.
As a veteran, you get a lot of advice, but wisdom's harder to come by. A lot of people imagine themselves in our shoes without understanding the weight on our shoulders. The truth is, few can understand the pressure of finding your own way after serving in the military. But few isn't none. Steady yourself. You're not alone. You've got support. Learn more at maketheconnection.net.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from 2